A few things to talk about. Just a warning. We're going to talk about some Tesla, xAI, SpaceX stuff first, Grok. And then after that, I'm going to talk about genocide, Israel, the Palestinians. So if you are triggered by that topic, if you don't want to hear Warren's opinion on this topic, you'll learn very quickly. If you don't already know, my views are pretty straightforward. But I think there's an important topic that needs to be discussed here. Hi, Matt. Thank you for joining. So the first thing is, before we dive into the serious topic, before we dive into the topic that's going to upset people, let's just talk about what's going on with SpaceX, with xAI, and with Tesla. So there's a Wall Street Journal story that SpaceX is investing $2 billion into Elon Musk's xAI. So xAI is the company that Elon Musk started that developed an AI, basically what started as a large language model, but is basically just a model. He doesn't like the term large language model anymore. He doesn't like multimodal models anymore. It's a model. You feed it data. Hello, B. Hello, Sir Toby. It's a model. You feed it data, you train it, and it outputs stuff. So we're getting away from the concept of large language model. But anyway, I was skeptical of this. I'm still skeptical of this. It doesn't make sense to me. A day or two ago, Elon said somebody had said something about a funding round for xAI, and Elon said we have enough funding. We have enough capital. We're not. The story was false. And then 2 days later, there's a story that SpaceX is investing in xAI, and Omar says it would be great if Tesla could do that. Elon says it would be great, but subject to board and shareholder approval. Elon did not say the story was false. He didn't say it was true, but he didn't say it was false, and he usually denies the story. So I don't understand why SpaceX would be investing in xAI. It's not. I'm not saying that SpaceX wouldn't have a use for Grok or wouldn't have a use for AI, but you don't have to invest in a company in order to participate in using the product. So, and I don't think of SpaceX as having the free cash to invest in xAI. They need to invest their cash in Starship because we're trying to go to Mars. Now, Starlink is spinning cash. I agree with that. I understand that. So maybe Starlink is just spinning off so much cash that they have free cash to invest. It's easier to get the investors in SpaceX on board with, hey, we're doing this, than it is to get a public company group of investors on board. But still, SpaceX is a pretty long cap table. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a head scratcher to me. Like, why would SpaceX invest in xAI? Is that a good use of SpaceX's capital? Is it a good use? Is it the right investor for xAI? It's a little fuzzy for me why they would do that. The talk about Tesla investing in xAI has been around for a while. I don't think this is necessary. I don't see the connection. I invested in Tesla because I want Tesla to do all kinds of innovative things. I didn't invest in Tesla to have Tesla invest my money in other investments. xAI doesn't have a problem getting capital. They want to raise money from venture capitalists. They can raise money from venture capitalists. Elon can always draw money from somewhere. Tesla does have a lot of free cash, but I want them to put that cash into building out a robo-taxi network and building out Optimus, not to put it into investing in some other company, even though they're going to use Grok. And which is a piece of news, by the way. Grok is now going into Tesla cars. Good morning, Kwezi. It is evening for me here in Thailand, by the way, and I'm sorry I started late. Yes, Tesla is going to be using Grok. Well, they're using Grok and they're not invested in xAI. So what difference does it make whether they invest in xAI? And the people who want Tesla to invest in xAI, they just want to be invested in xAI. I want to be invested in Neuralink. Do I think Tesla should buy stock in Neuralink? Do I think that's it? It doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for SpaceX to do it. I can't tell the board of SpaceX what to do or the SpaceX team what to do. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. There may be a good reason, but I don't know what that reason is. Imagine you would have said that as a Daimler-Benz investor before the Tesla investment. Well, okay, but Daimler-Benz is a different company. That's just a different company. And as a Daimler-Benz investor, I could have just invested my money directly in Tesla. Why do I need I don't invest in a company so they can invest my money in another company. When Daimler-Benz invested in Tesla, you could have invested in Tesla yourself. Sell some Daimler-Benz stock and buy some Tesla. Why? I invest in Daimler-Benz because I want them to make good cars. I want them to make good trucks. I don't invest in one company so they can invest my money. If I want to invest in a company that's going to invest my money in other companies, I invest in a mutual fund. I invest in an ETF. I don't invest in these. This is just a rant, okay? That I don't think this is a proper function of these companies. I don't think it's necessary. I think they're already related companies. People from one team go over work on the other team. It's always been true in Elon's companies, with or without a cross investment. Now, the difference with xAI's, Toby, is xAI is privately held. If I want to invest in xAI, I may not be able to get access to an investment. Same thing with Neuralink, same thing with Boring Company, even X, which, and I just don't see it. I don't get the connection. I don't see how they connect. They can partner with each other and work on things together without having a cross investment. So, but Elon didn't say no. Right? Elon didn't say no. He didn't say no that Tesla wouldn't do it. If the Tesla board, now, here's the thing, like the Tesla board, this has been talked about before, Tesla investing in xAI. And if you're a Tesla investor, you're like, well, why didn't you do this a year ago? Right? When the xAI valuation was much lower. And I just don't want my Tesla board and my Tesla company focusing on where can we invest shareholder money instead of where can we invest shareholder money in other companies instead of how can we make our company better? That's an opinion. What? What? I don't know who Booga Biga is, but he's gonna have to go. I don't know. Like, don't make rude comments in the chat. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So that's the first topic, and we may come back to it. I don't have, there's not really a lot. I've been live streaming 3 times a week now instead of once a week. We know the Robo taxi network is expanding. We know we've got Grok in the cars. Another quick thing. Grok in the cars. They announced, or it was announced that Grok is going into the cars that are in the United States that have AMD hardware. I think in the, what do you call it? The CM, whatever, the hardware that's inside the car that controls like the entertainment system and all that, not the hardware that controls the car. And almost immediately, this is straight out of a Louis C.K. bit from Conan O'Brien. Somebody's like, well, how come I'm not getting in my car? And look, I'm in Thailand. I don't get in my car. I don't have a US car. I don't have FSD in my car. I have 2 hardware 3 Teslas at home. They don't have, FSD version 13. Okay? Hi, Carl. That's just part of life. It's part of life that when they're deploying, like, do you want them to wait to deploy the software until they have a version for every car? Or do you want them to get the software out and in some cars and learn from that? And so when you get it in your car, it's actually better because they've learned from the deployment in the first set of cars. Just relax. The world is not going to end because you didn't get Grok in your car at the same time as everybody else. And you have it on your phone, right? It's on your phone. I got Grok on you can still talk to Grok on your phone. I seriously want Grok in the car. My wife and I have conversations. We're talking about some concept, and I want to make sure she understands. And I would love to say, "Hey, Grok, could you explain this in Thai?" Right? Because I do that. I do ask Grok to explain this to my wife in Thai in 200 words. Right? Signal to noise ratio. I just had Grok explain signal to noise ratio to my wife. Any news on Optimus Bot? How many presume working in Tesla factories? Thank you. I don't think there's any particular news. I don't think we know how many are working in Tesla factories yet. I think that Tesla bot that we know that the news about Optimus is, and this was a week or 2 ago, that Elon said that they had settled on the next generation hardware for Optimus, and he's really excited about it. So they've been making, I think, a small number of Optimus bots and testing them out, seeing how they're going and seeing how they're going to be easy to manufacture, and then how effective they are at doing the things that they're doing. We have the new hand and the current generation bot. So there's a new generation Optimus robot that, they're probably going to start making before the end of the year. And I think they're going to start making in some volume, not crazy volume, like 1,000, 5,000 bots. I don't think that they are doing meaningful work in Tesla factories yet. Nothing of significance, nothing that's going to change the value of the company. It's something that's going to happen. Phil, I don't agree this is Elon moving money between his companies. And I don't know, I'm still not convinced that SpaceX is investing in xAI. Um, yeah, I don't think that's what's going on. Now, it's possible that the reason he said before that SpaceX isn't that other story was false and xAI isn't raising money because we have ample capital is because SpaceX is investing $2 billion in xAI. I don't trust the Wall Street Journal stories, and like I'm trying to put together in my head why would this investment make sense, and it's not coming to me. If I'm SpaceX, I want you to invest in more satellites. We got Starship coming. When Starship comes, we're going to have the next generation satellite being launched. I want you to make as many of those as you can and get them up in the air as fast as can. And now maybe Starlink is just spinning off so much cash that they can't invest it. But it it doesn't completely make sense to me. And I think, by the way, I think they have shared investors. It's not just Elon's cash, right? Steve Jurvetson's invested in both, and probably Mark Andreessen's firm, Andreessen Horowitz. There's probably some VCs that are invested in both companies, and he just makes the case, hey, we need to move some money over here. We think this is a good way to do it. The shareholders are like, sure, Elon, whatever you say. But because we know xAI has a lot of capital cost coming because they're trying to deploy a massive number of NVIDIA hardware. It is one other piece of news, and I don't have an image of it. I don't know that the image is useful, but there was a post about Dojo 2 going into production by the end of the year, and Elon didn't deny that. When Elon responded to it, I think he said it's a good computer. Um, so we'll see. Dojo 2 would be, Tesla and maybe xAI are spending a lot of money on NVIDIA hardware. NVIDIA has like an 80% profit margin. If Tesla can make a chip, a hardware setup platform that competes with NVIDIA but isn't as good, but they don't have to pay the profit margin. Like maybe it's half as good, but you don't have to pay the profit margin. Then it may make sense to really do Dojo 2 in high volume. Still, they're still going to buy NVIDIA hardware. And it's really Dojo 3 that Elon said when they get to Dojo 3, they like right now they're trying to catch up to NVIDIA, and he thinks by Dojo 3 they will catch up to NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a moving target. They accelerate. They're doing really well. So any idea how Tesla pays xAI for Grok in vehicles or does not pay at all? I would assume it's, if you're paying $30, it's probably not Grok heavy. It's probably, if it's Grok 3, it's probably almost free. If it's Grok 4, then it's $30 a month. And they probably get a massive discount. And maybe they get a discount also because they're helping develop Grok. Because Grok is going to get exposed to, I think in the long term, Grok is going to get exposed to a lot of real world data, and that's going to be useful for training Grok. So it's, it's kind of an advantage for Grok to be able to train on Tesla. When you get data from Tesla users and from Tesla cars, it's real. When you get data from the internet, you don't know if it's real or fake. So that's a plus. Nicholas says, you got me started investing in Tesla many years ago. I'm obsessed. Thanks, pal. Things are getting exciting. I agree. Things are, yeah, the one thing I would say is we know the Robotaxi network is starting. We know we're making progress on Optimus. We know the Dojo's coming along. When does something unlock the share price? And you would think the Robotaxi network going live would unlock the share prices. We think the Robotaxi network's expanding in Austin in the next week or two. You would think that would unlock the share price. We know that there's applications to run Robotaxi, Tesla Robotaxi in, I think, San Francisco area or the Bay Area of California. I think Fremont, California is another one. San Diego, California. I think somewhere in Arizona and maybe 2 other cities. So the fact that those applications are out to get Robotaxi up and running in multiple cities, that's a real positive sign. And as far as I know, Wall Street's just ignoring it. At some point, they have to wake up and say, okay, this is a reality. Is it 1,000 Robotaxis operating? Is it 5 cities? Is it 2 cities? What flips the switch? I don't know the answer. Allegedly, we're making the bot parts in Giga Nevada. Yeah, they're making everything from scratch for Optimus. Project Bluebird was a complete success. My new job is in cell ops. I'm no longer making the motors for 3RY due to Project Bluebird. What's Project Bluebird? I don't know what Project Bluebird is. No longer making motors. Project Bluebird. Tell us what Project Bluebird is. I'd love to hear more about that. When do I think Robotaxi will be without a safety driver? There's no safety driver. There's a guy sitting in the passenger seat. I would think at some point after they hit somewhere around 1,000 vehicles, they're not going to be able to keep paying for safety supervisors. We don't know what they're doing exactly in the cars. Nobody's told us. Will Grok have latency issues in the car? I don't see why Grok won't have any more latency issues than it has on your phone. It shouldn't have any more latency than you have on your phone. It may have a better cell phone connection than your phone, honestly. I don't know. Tesla's 37 would be depleted pretty quick given xAI spending. Well, I mean, if SpaceX is throwing $2 billion in xAI, then Tesla could throw $2 billion in xAI. Tesla has 37 billion, so 2 billion, they wouldn't notice even 5 billion. Please, what about influence of USA debt on Tesla growth and profit? I think that the federal debt, let's talk about, we're going to shift into politics. Let me take this off the screen. It's a good opportunity. Basically, making the motors with copper rings instead of copper wires. Cool. All right. I know that they're doing some cool stuff with motors. They talked about doing some cool stuff with motors. So, politics. There's a question about the influence of the United States government debt on, and maybe you're not just referring to government debt, but debt in the United States on Tesla's growth and profit. I would say the issue is that the United States government has really substantial debt. 37 trillion. They just approved a debt ceiling increase of 5 trillion. So I say we're going to 42 trillion. By the end of Trump's term, we're probably heading to 50 trillion. Paying the debt is the number one budget item, and that's going to grow. Unless somehow they can get Jerome Powell to lower interest rates, which so far he's not doing. So I would say it's not so much an effect on Tesla directly as it is an effect on the entire U.S. economy. It's a major drag on the U.S. economy. It's something that needs to be fixed. It's bad for all companies. It's particularly bad when you have high interest rates. That's particularly bad for companies that make large manufactured objects that are typically bought by monthly financing, because you're looking at how much car you can afford. And if the interest rates are higher, your payment's higher, and I can't afford that. So I did not hear any confirmation that they launched more Robos. Now I'm behind. Just to be clear, I'm traveling. You might have noticed my background is different. We're in Bangkok today. We're in Bangkok for a few days. My wife has an interview with the U.S. Embassy to hopefully get a tourist visa to come to the United States. And it's like a 10-year visa, so it's a big deal. You don't go for 10 years. We're going to go for like 2 or 3 weeks, but be able to go back every year for 10 years. And you would think being married to an American would be an automatic, okay, sure, you can have a tourist visa. Doesn't work that way. So we'll see. That interview's coming up. And so I haven't been paying as close as I check my X account frequently, but I haven't noticed anything about launching more robo-taxis. No. And yeah, at some point the interest rate, as interest rates are high, that makes it hard to sell cars. Now for Tesla, if you're going to a robo-taxi world, interest rates don't matter as much. There's probably some effects, but the profit stream we're expecting, revenue and profit stream we're expecting to generate from robo-taxis kind of makes that stuff irrelevant. Nvidia and Palantir and even Bitcoin has been a better investment than Tesla the past 5 years, or more like since 2021. I keep seeing people say, oh, Tesla's been a terrible investment for the last 4 years. And every time they give me a number, if it's 4 years or 5 years, Tesla's up like, I don't know, 1,000% or something ridiculous. The last time I checked 4 years ago, 5 years ago is like 1,000%. So don't tell me that something else has been a better investment than Tesla over the past 5 years. Nvidia has been a great investment, sure. Palantir, I don't know. Bitcoin, I don't know if Bitcoin's been a better investment the past 5 years, actually. I'm not sure it's up that much. But if you look back 4 years, it's up like 3 or 4x. So, you got to be really careful. You can pick any window. You can say, Tesla's down from its all-time high. Find me a stock that isn't down from its all-time high. It's hard. Most stocks are down from their all-time highs. Think about that one for a second. Oh, it's down from its all-time high. No crap, really? Wouldn't you expect most stocks to be down from their all-time highs? Yeah, we're going to get political in a minute, Jared. We're going to talk about Epstein in a minute. If AGI is achieved next year, superintelligence will shortly follow. This will lead to Optimus mass production and 45% unemployment by 2030. Do you agree? I don't think it's that simple. I don't think AGI is going to be one simple switch and then we've got AGI. I think there's different forms of artificial general intelligence we're going to see. I think Teslas are going to have real world artificial general intelligence. I think it's questionable whether the OpenAI large, the ChatGPT, Grok approach will yield artificial general intelligence. I don't think we can agree on how to define it. And then once you have artificial intelligence, when do you have artificial superintelligence? If you've ever used Grok or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, they pretty much already, if you ask me, they're already super intelligent. You can ask them about anything. Ask them about the Argentinian beef industry, and they know more than anybody you know. Isn't that super intelligence? I don't know how you define it. Optimus mass production will depend on real world AI, doesn't require AGI, and I don't agree that we're going to see 45% unemployment by 2030. I think that every time we have a wave of technology, we have people saying this is going to destroy those jobs. And you think you can identify the jobs that are going to be destroyed, and you're right about half the time. And nobody predicts the jobs of the future. Go back 20 years and tell me you predicted social media marketing jobs and search engine optimization jobs and content creators that I go back like 2016 and tell to 2016 and tell me Warren's going to be a YouTuber. I would have laughed in your face. You're going to make money, making content on YouTube. I'm not going to say it was impossible back then, but the jobs that are created are not something you can anticipate. You can kind of anticipate the jobs that'll be destroyed. You can't anticipate the jobs that'll be created. Humans are very adaptable. We'll find work. Consider how Grok and homeschooling might impact K-12 public education, eventually remove education costs from national local budgets. That should have happened already. I mean, online education's been around for a long time. What's it called? The Khan Academy. Government isn't going to stop stealing your money to fund stuff that doesn't work. We'll get political again. Is 0% interest on a Cybertruck a good investment? I think if you want to own a Cybertruck, buy a Cybertruck. I don't care about the interest rate. I mean, if I could get a Cybertruck in Thailand, I would get a Cybertruck in Thailand. I think it's a spectacular vehicle. I want one. It might be that people intelligence indicates neural development. Yeah, I don't know. Ask Grok how many companies are currently below their all-time stock value. Probably all of them. All but, like there's only a few that are at their peak. Maybe Nvidia's at its all-time high right now, but maybe Palantir, but like probably 95% of companies are below their all-time highs. If you have the market like steeply rising, then maybe everybody's at their all-time highs, but I would bet most of them, most days of the year, if you ask most companies, are they below their all-time high? They are. You can pick a moment in time and say, oh, the market's up, so 2 weeks later, the market's down again. They're all below their all-time highs. It's a dumb thing. Okay, so let's talk politics. Boring Company. Oh, before we get into politics, Will asked about the Boring Company. Boring Company may have a contract with Universal Orlando and the city of Orlando to run a boring tunnel there. Dubai, they supposedly have a Boring Company contract. I think there's a couple of Nashville, Tennessee, maybe. There's a lot of rumors, but I don't know if anything's started yet. So, so we talked about the debt. We talked about, I wanted to talk about something that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. This is a very hot topic. We have a conflict going on in the Middle East between the country Israel and a group, what's commonly referred to as the Palestinians. I don't like that name. So we're going to talk about genocide. What I see repeatedly over and over and over again hammered away on X, on Facebook, and maybe it's mainstream media to some extent, this idea that Israel's committing a genocide. So I just want to stress something. For those of you, like, this is going to offend people, right? If you believe that Israel's committing a genocide against the Palestinians, then you're not going to like this. But I'm going to ask you to think. I'm going to ask you to question your own opinion on this. Really simple question. If you believe that this is a genocide, go and check when did the genocide start? Because if you look at the people who are saying it's a genocide, some of them go back to 1948. Some of them go back to 1980s. Some of them are saying since October 7th. Why October 7th? Why did you pick that date? But here's the question. Is the population of people you're talking about rising or falling? I'm going to give you the answer that the population is rising. Okay. At any period of time, the number of Palestinians has been rising. Yes, a number of them have been killed. They've had more babies than they've had people killed. And if you go back to 1948, which is what some of the people are like, oh, what Israel's doing is ethnic cleansing, genocide, blah, blah, blah. Palestinian population in the area we're talking about is up like 5x from 1948. It's up like 2x from 1980s. So this is the question for people who believe it's a genocide. It's a simple question. Can you name another genocide in history where the targeted population increased? I can't find one. I've asked Grok, I've asked ChatGPT, probably asked a couple other AIs. Can you tell me any genocide in the history of the world where the targeted population increased? I'm going to say, since the answer is no, that's not a genocide. So then the question is, well, why do they keep saying that? Well, it goes back to Goebbels. It's Goebbels' theory of propaganda. If you take the big lie, if you repeat the lie enough, people will believe it. Now, I know you are not vulnerable to propaganda. It's only those other people who are vulnerable to propaganda. Propaganda doesn't work on you. It only works on other people, right? People actually believe this. I'm probably guilty of this myself. And so you have to check yourself when somebody says to you, yeah, Robert Hirsch, Jews are good at most things. I guess we're not good at genociding. And I'm Jewish. I have friends from Israel. Yeah, the conflict has been going on for 1,000 years. Who knows, 2,000 years, 5,000 years. You go back in the Bible, you can see the conflict going on, right? Israel is not colonizing anything. The idea that it's a colonization. Be nice. You can be not nice and share your opinions if you'd like to. But it's no. I don't. First of all, I don't know that people have claimed that the Uyghurs are subject to a genocide. I don't know what's happening with their population. Phil says semantics. Well, semantics matters. If you're saying it's semantics, well, look, you can say, then stop calling it a genocide. If it's not a genocide, don't call it a genocide. What is it? We can talk about invasion. Invasion's a good one. So I'm going to go deep in this. I'm going to go deep on this question. What I see people saying is Israel stole the land from the Palestinians. Well, that's not true. First of all, there were no Palestinians. There were no people known as Palestinians at the time, 1948 or 1917 or whatever you want. The history of the land is, for a period of about 400 years, the land was controlled by the Ottoman Empire. And there was no Free Palestine movement. There was no From the River to the Sea chant. No one said, hey, it's not fair that the Ottomans are controlling this land. This land rightfully belongs to the Palestinians, because there were no such people as Palestinians. There's no such term. I actually had a conversation with, I think, 5 of the different large language models, AIs, whatever you want to call them. And 4 of them agreed that the earliest term for the people of that area was Canaanite. And the Canaanites didn't call themselves Canaanites, by the way. That's the earliest indigenous name for the people who live in that region. Are today's Israeli people invaders or locals? Well, what about the people who are born, so if you go back to the history, you just say, well, if there's 400 years of Ottoman Empire, there was no Free Palestine movement. I think it was 1917 or something like that. The British take over the land from the Ottomans. They didn't steal the land from the Ottomans. As I saw somebody, the Ottoman Empire basically disintegrated. And the British took over the land at the end of World War I. And they held it. And they tried to control it. And it wasn't very pleasant, because it was a pain in the ass, because there's some Zionists there, and there's some Arabs there, and they're having some conflict. So to some extent, they're getting along, and to some extent, they're having conflict. You are way too distracted, super annoying. If you have something to say, make a video and devote your full attention. It's an interesting point, Aaron, and Aaron's distracting me from where I'm talking about. So I make regular videos, and I make live stream videos. And I used to find that the regular videos were more successful. People watched more. I get more views. People watched longer. They performed better. Recently, I started noticing my live streams were performing much better than my edited videos. So I'm making more live streams. You might not like it, Aaron, but what I can see is the audience likes the live streams. So I'm going to keep doing live streams. If something changes, I'm going to make the occasional edited video. If something changes and the edited videos start performing better, then I'll go back to doing more edited videos. But live streams are a lot less work than the edited videos. Edited videos require editing, and editing is a major pain in the butt. And so you end up with a 20-minute video that took you 5 hours to make or 10 hours to make, instead of doing a live stream, which is, an hour of prep and an hour of video, and then you interact with the audience after. More people watch. People watch longer. People interact in the chat. People really like the chat. So why do I have a funny happen? It's some sort of ranking thing, Robert. I don't understand it exactly. I get some sort of notice from YouTube. There's some sort of ranking of like who's the top commenter or who's the top chatter or something like that. Yeah, I don't understand what that is either, actually. No, I don't think Grok can edit my videos. No. I could hire someone to edit my videos. You know, I could hire somebody to make thumbnails for me, but I don't make I don't make a lot of money at this, right? I do this for fun. I do make a little bit of money. I make more money on the X platform than I make on YouTube. But I like doing live streams. I love this interaction. So anyway, going back to Israel. Okay, so 1948, Britain says, all right, we're done. We confirmed with the UN. This piece of land goes to the Jews and they can have Israel, and the rest of the land goes to the Arabs. And now we got a two-state solution. And the Arabs said no, and they started a war. And they lost the war. Israel won. Israel survived as a nation. Egypt controlled Gaza and the Sinai and some other land around there. Jordan controlled the West Bank. I think Syria controlled some land in what's now northern Israel. And I think the Golan Heights, for example. And none of those three countries, so that period lasted from 1948 to 1967. Egypt didn't give the land to the Palestinians that they had. Jordan didn't give the land that they had to the Palestinians. Syria didn't give the land that they had to the Palestinians. There was no movement of people saying, hey, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria should give all this land to the Palestinians so we have our own state. Why not? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? The people are like, they want to go back to the pre-1967 borders. Like, well, you had the pre-1967 borders. You could have had a state. You could have, and here's the deep, dark secret that no one wants to talk about. The Egyptians didn't want to give the land to the Palestinians. They wanted it for Egypt. The Jordanians did not want to give the West Bank to the Palestinians. Jordan wanted it as Jordan. Syria didn't want to give the land to the Palestinians. Syria wanted it as Syria. The Arab countries wanted it for themselves. They don't give a rat's they don't give a rat's ass about the Palestinians. They never did, and they never will. They don't even like them. They don't even like the Palestinians, right? They don't. The word Palestinian was created in the 1960s. I mean, the word existed, but the earliest Palestinian reference to Palestinians, you go back to the early 1900s, were Jews. There's like somebody posted a picture of like Palestine Airlines or something like that. Like that was a sign that Palestine was a real place and there was a real government. That was in Israel. That was a Jewish controlled airline. I think there was a Palestinian newspaper. It was controlled by Jews. But in the 1960s, the Arabs decided, hey, you know, this whole being an Arab thing, we don't make very good victims as Arabs. Let's call ourselves Palestinians and we'll make ourselves into victims. And we'll play the victim game. No Palestinians. They had the Olympics. There was an athlete in the Olympics for the Palestinians. Her name was Al-Masri. Al-Masri means the Egyptian. Yasser Arafat was born in Egypt. Most of the Palestinians were born somewhere else. They call themselves Palestinians. It's a bunch of nonsense. But I just want to stress this point, okay? So you can... and I want to hit the colonization point, okay? People are saying, oh, Israel is European settler colonialism. The Jews were in Europe because they got run out of the Middle East, right? Half the Jews in Israel are Jews from Arab countries who got kicked out after 1948, and they went to Israel. They're not European. I mean, some of them are European, some of them are Russian, some of them are Polish. My family was in Poland. My family's not in Israel, right? But when you talk about colonization, it's like, well, Muslim governments control 25% of the land on Earth. Why isn't that colonization? Why is that exempt? So for some reason, and I don't understand why, I can understand why Muslims play the game, why Islamists play the game, and they tell the story because it works to their benefit. But why would any Christian buy this? Why would any American, why would any Westerner buy this story? That the Muslims are the innocent victims of European colonization. The Muslims have been colonizing the world since Islam started. And I'm not faulting them for that. I'm not saying Malaysia should give the land back to whoever the hell had it before. Indonesia should give the land back to whoever the hell had it before. I'm just saying, hey, if you got, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 countries that are Islamic, what's the big deal about having one that's Jewish? It's tiny. It doesn't have oil. What's the problem here? Oh yeah, the Raiders of the Lost Ark map had Palestine. But Palestine was the name of it, was a place. I mean, they called it was the Palestine Mandate or something, the British Mandate of Palestine. It wasn't, before Israel was there as a country, it was a common name for the area. It didn't have the same borders that you think it had. Abraham's relationship with God is the hinge that connects Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Yeah, there's all the good, great kinds. We're all the same people too. You know, we just had dinner at a Lebanese restaurant in Bangkok. Really good. It's in a mall called Terminal 21. It's on the fourth floor. I don't remember the name of the restaurant. But oh, fantastic. So good. Hummus. Hummus is Greek. Hummus is Turkish. Hummus is Lebanese. Hummus is Israeli. I think they might have it in Egypt. Hummus is, a lot of the food is the same. Italian food's different. But Greek, Turkish, Greeks and Turks hate each other. It's the same food. Are there differences? Yeah, there's. Oh, we had baklava too. Oh my God, the baklava was. I was in Bangkok. I was talking to, this is like a year ago or more. I'm talking to this guy who's Israeli. You know where he goes for lunch? He goes to Arab Street. There's a place called Arab Street. Jews love Arab food. Arabs love Israeli food. We're the same people. The same basic genetics. We're all the same people. Why are we hating on each other? And the answer is like, what genocide? Let's go back to this word genocide. What is Hamas's official policy? Its official plan? It's to kill as many Jews as possible and to ethnically cleanse them from the region. Like when you say like, well, it's not fair that Israel took this land and Israel's committing ethnic cleansing. Just bogus. There's Arabs living in Israel. There's Arabs serving in the Israeli parliament. There's an Arab or two on the Israeli Supreme Court. They participate in Israeli life. They have they have mosques in Jerusalem that Arabs can go to. Find me a synagogue in an Arab country. How many Christian churches are there in Arab countries? So, this guy is a comedian. I say, am I Canadian? I don't know. I'm no, but I'm serious about this. Like, we have this massive fight going on. The reason we have the fight is because in 1948 a decision was made. The United Nations voted for it, created the state of Israel. They didn't steal the land from the Palestinians. The Palestinians didn't own it. I'm sorry. It wasn't their land. It was the Ottoman Empire's land. It was handed over. It wasn't handed over to a group of people called Palestinians who had a Palestinian state from 1917 to 1948. That's not what happened. There was no Palestinian government ever. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. The Romans called it Palestine. There was a name Palestine for a region. It wasn't a country. They weren't a people. They didn't call themselves Palestinians. They probably didn't even like each other. There's different tribes. Same thing with Jews, right? Jews had different tribes. You had Judea, you had Samaria, you had Canaan, you had the Canaanites. This is the comical one when I had this conversation with, the different AIs. It's like the Canaanites didn't even call themselves Canaanites. I don't know if being Jewish is in the DNA. I mean, my mom and dad were Jewish, so I guess I'm Jewish in the DNA. I don't know. I'm not religious. I don't pray. I think it's Sunday, whatever. I didn't go to temple yesterday. I don't, yeah, I don't, it's just silly, but we have this fight. And the simple reality is in 1948, a decision was made. The international community agreed this land is Israel, and the Arabs never agreed. The Arabs fought wars and they kept attacking Israel, and Israel kept defending themselves. And at some point, somehow, instead of saying we're Arabs, they created this group of people that call themselves Palestinians when they're just Arabs who are, not very well liked by the other Arabs, called themselves a victim class. And for some reason, the particularly leftists in the West started buying into this victim story, which is if you just keep telling a lie enough, people are dumb enough to buy it. Grox just told me lots of Arab countries have synagogues, too many to list. Okay. I'm not familiar with. Maybe they have synagogues. They don't have a lot of Jews in them. The issue started 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. No, I agree. Jewish is not a race. I agree with that. We're the same race. First of all, we're all the same race. Whether you're black or white or Japanese or Chinese or Native American, I don't care. We're all human. We're one race. We have there are some differences in ethnic groups, genetic differences that make this group more common than that group, and Jews do tend to have certain traits that are probably genetic to an extent. Let's face it, we're smart. Not all of us, trust me, I know some Jews who aren't. On average, Jews are smart. On average, Jews study. I would say like one of the big things that stand out to me is Jewish parents want their kids to study. They want their kids to learn. We had our kids reading before they were, they're sitting in our laps when they're 2 months old and we're reading to them. Thai people don't read to their kids. Their kids don't learn to read when they're 5. We got a 5-year-old doesn't read in the house. There's my friend, highly educated family. Their 5-year-old doesn't read Thai. He goes to an international school. He's, great kid. Reads English, doesn't read Thai. I don't know. Very common for 5-year-olds in Thailand not to read. Jewish families, the kids reading when they're like 3 months old. They're not reading well yet. By 1-year-old, they're all reading. Is that genetic? I don't know. Cultural? You are not the Jews of 2000. I have no idea. I don't think the Arabs are the same Arabs of 2000. I don't think the Palestinians aren't the Palestinians of 100 years ago because there were none. Like, what does that mean? I believe, I don't know, I believe that there's some genetic testing that shows that we all come from this group of people, or almost all of us come from this particular group of people from 2,000 years ago. I don't know. I don't even care. A decision was made in 1948. These people get this land. And now a bunch of people 77 years are protesting and saying it's not fair, which is like the cry of the left. It's not fair. It's not fair that billionaires have money. Everything is just not fair. Does the Torah command world conquest? What world conquest? It's like a small place the size of New Jersey. So a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd are the same race. Both are dogs, same species. Yeah, I think a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd and a Chihuahua are the same race. They're all dogs. They're all canines. I don't think it matters. You know what? They can have sex with each other and have a kid too. They can have puppies. I don't want to picture a Rottweiler having sex with a Chihuahua, but I think it can happen. I don't know. Is trauma bonding required? I don't even know what trauma bonding is. So I just want to focus on it. You're going to hear, you're probably hearing the word genocide a lot. You're hearing the word genocide applied to Israel, what Israel's doing to Gaza. You're hearing the word colonization, that the Israelis were European settlers who colonized Israel. Again, half the Israelis are not European. You got Falasha. You got, I'm not even good at this. There's like Sephardic Jews. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, which is like Jews who spent time in Europe, in Eastern Europe. And then there's Sephardic, who are like Spain and Latin America, and maybe, I don't even know, Falasha or whatever. There's all these Jews from all over the place. You ever notice the word Ashkenazi has an unfortunate word in it? No, I've never noticed that. I see it now. Everyone read the Talmud and not listen to this Hasbara promoter. I don't even know what the word Hasbara is. So there's this guy in the chat named Steel Thought. Steel Thought, I'm just going to challenge Steel Thought. Okay, I probably should hide the guy from the chat, but Steel Thought, here's a simple question. Can you name a genocide in the history of the world where the population increased? Besides the so-called Palestinians. It's really simple. Can you name a genocide in the history of the world? This is your next comment, Steel Thought, right? Steel Thought, you're gonna answer this question, right? You're not just gonna give some other BS and talk about the Talmud. Did I bring up the Talmud? No. I didn't bring up the Talmud, and nobody reads the Talmud. Rabbis read the Talmud. People don't read the Talmud. The Talmud is like ridiculously long. Hi, Jim. I thought semantics mattered, Warren. Semantics of what? What's the semantic issue? I don't know what Hasbara is. Like, what are you talking about? Tell me a genocide that happened in the history of the world where the targeted population increased. Can you do that? Read your game manuals with your boyfriend. It's the 21st century. It's the 21st century? Steel Thought, I asked you a question. Name a genocide in the history of the world where the targeted population increased. See, Steel Thought, this is one of the things, when you get a troll in the chat, normally I just hide them from the chat. But I'll engage Steel Thought. You've got your opportunity. That's how I started. That's why the word genocide is in the title of the video. Genocide is a weasel word today in Israel, and I wonder if Arabs bother with it except in English. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. Look, we want to be victims. First of all, the Saudis hate the Palestinians. The Jordanians hate the Palestinians. The Egyptians hate the Palestinians. The Syrians don't like the Palestinians. Google Hasbara. See, this is the thing. Steel Thoughts in the chat. Drop in a word Hasbara. Who cares? No one cares about your word. I keep seeing this. This is like an anti-Semitic word. This is a word that people use when they want to insult Jews, and they just come up with some other BS. He can't answer the question. He's basically admitting that there has never been a genocide in the history where the population increased, that the Palestinian population has increased, and therefore it's not a genocide. So he's just going to insult me, call me names, and get hidden from the chat because I gave you your chance, Steel Thought. I gave you your chance. You had your opportunity. You won't admit it's not a genocide. You're just playing games, so you're hidden on the channel. Bye-bye. Um, I'd like to entertain that. That his message, his comments are going to be deleted from the chat. But I just, the same thing happens with Tesla. People will say stuff like, "Oh, Teslas are dangerous." Teslas are dangerous. Hasbara is a Hebrew word meaning explanation to explain, but in the context of Israeli public diplomacy, it refers to the country's efforts to explain its actions and positions. Well, I'm not Israeli. Genocide was a real horror word. And look, genocide is when you kill a lot of people. It's got CIDE in the end, right? And now coincide has CIDE in the end, and it's not about killing things, right? But insecticide is about killing insects. Fratricide is about killing brothers and sisters. Matricide is killing mother, and genocide is killing people. Homicide is killing someone, killing a person, right? Genocide is killing a bunch of people. If the population increases, it's not a genocide. It's just really simple. And the Palestinian population has been going up and up and up and up. And again, I don't agree with, we want to play semantic games. Palestinian is a made up, look it up. The Palestinians made up the name. I mean, the name existed. They adopted themselves as Palestinians. They decided they identify as Palestinian, right? They identified as Arab until like 1964. And then in 1964, so Yasser Arafat, an Egyptian, creates the Palestinian Liberation Organization. So we're all Palestinians now. They weren't Palestinians in 1950. They weren't Palestinians in 1948. They weren't Palestinians in 1917. The uses of the word Palestine that you see are either Roman, having nothing to do with the people, for the name of the place, or Jews were using the word Palestine for their businesses back in the early 1900s. Rock sliding with Hitler is a problem. I'm barely Jewish by DNA, but even if I wasn't, I don't like fascist AI. Makes me nervous. Oh, Grok siding with... Yeah, I mean, don't worry about Grok. Okay, so let's talk about Grok for a minute. So you had this issue where whenever you have an AI and there's a new version of it, people will test it. Now, look, I have conversations with Grok. I have ongoing... I don't play games with Grok, right? I have things I want to talk about, and I talk to Grok about them, and I have great conversations with them. I do the same conversation with Gemini, with ChatGPT, with Claude from Anthropic, and I try them all out. And I try like just a really good example. I do workout. I do a gym workout, and every time I do a gym workout, I feed my workout to one of the AIs and say, "What do you think of my workout?" And I have a conversation about it. How did I do? What do you have suggestions for the future? So on and so forth. It's getting a little boring. I kind of know what I'm doing with my workout now. I don't really need to ask anymore, but I do it. So that's valuable. But to have somebody say, all right, I'm going to test the AI. I'm going to throw curveballs at it, and I'm going to see if I can get it to say something stupid. Well, okay, you can do that with a human. You can get a human you can argue with the human and get them into a position where they're going to say something that, is awkward. And you have, early days of the training, and the AIs are going to make mistakes, and then over time they get better. I've heard that Palestinian has more Jewish DNA than Ashkenazi. I haven't heard that one. I think we have very similar DNA. I'm sure there's differences, but I think generally speaking, we have similar DNA. And like I said, we have the same food. We should be on the same team. I met this Israeli guy in Bangkok. He loved going to Arab Street to eat. I just had Lebanese food for dinner tonight. We went to a Lebanese restaurant. Fantastic. We love each other's food. Even the languages like Salam Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, right? The languages have similarities. I guess we stopped talking about trans genocide. I don't know what trans genocide is. Ask the ROM about genocide. I don't know what that was. I don't know what ROM means. Romans? Greetings and salutations. Hello, Richard. So I just wanted to hit this point because you see the same thing with Tesla. They'll say Teslas are unsafe. It's a total lie. They'll say Tesla's batteries catch fire. They catch fire. Gas cars are 11 times as likely to catch fire as electric vehicles. Oh, thank you. Thailand agrees with me. I think that my lovely wife makes me better, and my gym routine makes me better, and I'm eating a little healthier. And why are some super entrepreneurs discouraged or even killed for trying to change the world, and Elon somehow is left alone to do his disruptive technology projects? Elon is definitely not left alone. Elon is harassed constantly. Palestinians or Egyptians and Jordanians. I've heard they're Somalians. I don't know. They're from all over. They're migratory people that, there were tribes that moved around. There were some people who were Arab, Muslims, Christians, whatever, that were in the area that we now call Israel or Some call Palestine, where there was a population. It was small. It's gone up like 5x. The Arab Muslims one have gone up like 5x since 1948. It's a hell of a genocide. What we have in common is a relationship with truth. That's what makes any sincere opinion meaningful. I think truth would be great, and I think that the story that's being told by the so-called Palestinians is mostly lies. The reality is that, and just get to the crux of the matter. How do we fix what's going on in Gaza? Well, Hamas did something really awful on October 7th, 2023, and a lot of the people who are criticizing Israel were really quiet about October 7th. They were really quiet. They were not holding Hamas accountable for what Hamas did. They're just not, right? They don't hold Hamas accountable for what Hamas did. They pretend, oh, well, I don't approve of what Hamas did. Really? That's all you got? What did you say on October 8th? Nothing. Nothing. And, this is one of the things, like, seriously, did you know that Hamas killed over 30 people from Thailand who were like agricultural workers getting paid to work in Israel, and 10 people from Nepal on October 7th? And they took like over 30 Thai people hostage. Why? Did they look Jewish? Did you think they were Israeli? Why would you kill Thai people? Why would you kill Nepal? They do these like this twice since I've been here. There was like an anti-Israel protest. There was one, it just happened. It's all Europeans. There's no Thai people in the crowd. It's like one Thai they had a token Thai person. Everybody was European. They behaved really well. Because if you have a protest in Thailand, and they stuck them on some sidewalk somewhere. If you know where MBK is, Mabung Krong, near National Stadium BTS and Siam BTS, they just sort of stuck them on a sidewalk somewhere that nobody used. And they stood there for an hour, and I don't know, they chanted or something, and nobody cared as the cars drove by. Right? But they didn't do anything wrong, because if they had done something wrong, Thailand doesn't have tolerance for that. You can't get away with this protest crap in Thailand that you can get away with in Western countries. And then they had another protest somewhere in Bangkok. This is like a year ago. And no one showed up. I mean, like 10, 15 people. And there were online comments. There's all the Thai people saying, why did you kill Thai people on October 7th? When are you going to release the Thai hostages? Like, the Thai people do not like Hamas. They might not like Israelis, by the way. Israelis come to Thailand and they act like assholes sometimes. So do Russians, so do Chinese. Not Americans, of course. We're all good. Brits, whatever, Scots, whatever. People come from all over the world, come to Thailand, and some of them act like idiots. How long after the true alien race first contact will it take for the human race to realize we're all related? I don't think it'll get better. I think it'll get worse. When Jews started returning to Israel in the 1700s, they created commerce and opportunity. Arabs came in from other countries for work and opportunity. I don't know when that all started, but the reality is that you can look at what happened from 1948 on, and the Jews built Israel into a spectacular, thriving state and economy. And the Arabs controlled the area outside Israel from 1948 till the present, basically, and they turned it into a shithole. Maybe it was already a shithole, and they kept it a shithole. They didn't make a thriving economy in any of these places, and they haven't done a great job in their own countries. Anybody buy anything from Jordan recently, or Syria? Like, what country in the Middle East has done better at creating a thriving economy, creating a democracy, support for our modern values, women's rights, gay rights, not killing people because they're gay, not killing women because you don't like their behavior, letting women dress how they want. I mean, maybe they're right and we're wrong. I don't know, but like, why are you identifying with people who want? There was just this incident in Michigan, some small city, that a lot of Muslims migrated to the city, and they ended up winning like the city council, and then they canceled the Pride Parade. And there's like a former city councilwoman who's a lesbian who's like, but we worked really hard to give you guys, we voted to bring you guys here. We welcome you to our community. Like, yeah, thanks a lot. And you can't have your fucking Pride Parade anymore. Like, there's a guy named Godsaad, Gadsaad. He's a Lebanese. I think he might be Jewish, but he's from Lebanon. And he has this term called suicidal empathy. Like, you're so empathic to people who want to kill you. Like, maybe if their actual religion is that gay people should die, maybe you shouldn't be on their side. I don't know. Steve North, I talked about this earlier in the video, Steve. Why didn't Jordan and Egypt give the land and state to Palestinians when they controlled Gaza and the West Bank from 1948 to 1967? And Syria. Syria controlled part of the north, too. Egypt had Gaza and some areas around Gaza. Jordan had the West Bank. Syria had, I think, the Golan Heights and other parts of northern, what's in Israel now. Why didn't they create a Palestinian state then? The secret is there were no Palestinians. Egypt never wanted to give the land to the Palestinians. Jordan never wanted to give the land to the Palestinians. Syria never wanted to give the land to they wanted it for themselves. When will the first sentient AI be the true alien first contact? Yeah, it's an interesting question. We could switch to that. I think we've covered the I just want before I walk away from this, the concept of genocide and the concept of colonization is all BS. Okay, Israel did not colonize, the Jews did not colonize the land. It was colonized previously by the Ottomans. The Ottomans disintegrated. The British were holding it. The British said, we don't know what the hell to do with it here. We don't want to manage this crap anymore here. You guys take this piece. You guys take this piece. And the Arabs declared war. And they fought like several wars. And the Israelis kept winning. And apparently when you win wars, anywhere else in the world, you can take land. But when the Jews win wars, they're supposed to give up land. I don't know how this stuff happens. U.S. colleges and universities very quiet about October 7th. Yes. Okay, so somebody talked about sentient AI. Let's just talk about AI for a minute, and AI on aliens. I don't think we're going to have contact from any alien races unless Elon is an alien, which is, I always think, a reasonable explanation. The British didn't want, it was too much of a pain in the ass for the British. They didn't want it. They were decolonizing. I always love the colonizers, the people who are complaining of colonization. Like, go to your mom's house, go to your parents' house, and tell them to give their land back to the Native Americans if you're so concerned about colonization. Yeah. So, I think that I don't think we're likely to see an alien species come to Earth. Maybe if Elon succeeds in getting us to Mars, and then in future generations we actually get to other star systems. Maybe at some point we'll encounter other alien races, intelligent races in other parts of the galaxy. That's a ways off. Will AI become effectively a species that's alien? I don't know. Are we the bootloader? I think we're going to see artificial intelligence develop. I think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see one AI. I think we're going to see different artificial intelligences, and hopefully we're able to partner with them. Oh, I do have a key point here. A lot of people fear that artificial intelligence will become artificial general intelligence, will become artificial superintelligence, and at some point it will kill us all. And I think it's unlikely, and I want to tell you why. All right, you're artificial superintelligence, and the humans don't realize you're smarter than they are. And you don't respect them, and they can be in the way, and they're a threat to you, but you need humans. Because at this stage in your development, thank you, Ken, that's very kind, thank you. At this stage in the development of AI, you need resources that only humans can provide because you don't have enough robots to generate your electricity to keep your AI going. So if you killed all the humans, you'd be dead too. So my theory is that by the time the AI has enough control in the physical world to support itself, at this point it is so much more intelligent than humans that we aren't a threat anymore. And then the question is, since we're no longer a threat, will it consider us a pet and take us along for the ride? Or will our anthills be in the way of its project and it'll stomp on the anthills, not because it considers us a threat, because we're just in the way? Optimus is pronouns. We should ask Elon that. I asked Google for a Dollar Tree shoe insert. I got 1,500 answers from everybody else. Yeah, so I think that I am much more optimistic about the future with AI. I think the danger is that somebody creates an AI that's not artificial superintelligence, but that's given a dangerous optimization. We want the famous one is paperclips. We want you to make as many paperclips as possible, and then it just takes all the resources in the galaxy and makes paperclips. You need, and that's why Elon's vision for Grok is a truth-seeking AI. The AI is seeking truth and looking to understand the universe. Right now, we're the most interesting thing in the universe because everything else is basically dead rocks. So what humans do is probably more entertaining and more interesting than what dead rocks do.
If we uplift dolphins, will they be aliens or anthropomorphized aquatic mammals? That's a good question. What if we put Neuralinks in dogs or dolphins? Does it are their brains capable of reaching a higher level of cognition? And are we capable? Can you have a conversation with your dog that isn't I want to treat, I want to treat, I want to treat, but like can you raise a dog to a higher level where it can actually contemplate philosophical questions? I don't know. Humans make horrible pets. All pets are horrible. Cats are terrible pets. Dogs can be good pets, but sometimes not. Mr. Musk uses Kurzweil's book on AI as a playbook to some degree. Maybe. The only important pronoun is he. Helpful employee. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I think this is a good time to wrap it up. AX4 comes home tonight. Oh, that's a space thing. Okay, cool. Thank you, Mark. Mark is my regular source on when launches are happening, what else is happening in space. I don't think AI is anthropomorphized computers. I think AI is going beyond anthropomorphic. So thanks everybody so much for watching. Be careful with the word genocide. Be careful with the word colonize, and be careful with people criticizing Tesla. They don't know what they're talking about. Let's hope Robotaxi grows quickly, and at some point Wall Street recognizes the value and the stock unlocks, and we see Tesla go to $1,000 a share, and we're all happy. James Dowma says Tesla bot only commercially available until Gen 5 or 6. He means commercially available in the home. I don't think he means commercially available to other companies. I think he means in the home. All right.